Thank you for coming this evening, folks. Welcome to IMPROVology. IMPROVology is where we pair up artists and scientists in the attempt to prove the equation art plus science equals comedy squared, or as I like to say, art plus science equals comedy for squares. We have 3 scientists tonight and 6 improvisers who will be teaming up with them. And we have 3 judges who will be judging their work. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our judges. Our first judge is recognizable. He's our own local beloved anchorman, Mr. John Palmentary. Our second judge will tell you what to wear tomorrow, the omnipotent Mr. Alan Rose. And our third judge, the comedic writer, columnist from the Santa Barbara Independent, Ms. Starshine Rochelle. Each scene will be judged on a scale of 0, which means not too much happened, to a 5, which means the heavens opened and something miraculous occurred. Now, folks, what you're going to see tonight, at least insofar as the actors are concerned, is all improvised. Kelly Whitaker, put your hands together for our scorekeeper. Kelly, come on up on stage here and bring that bag with you. Did I give you that bag? So, Kelly will be modeling the latest in paper bags. Oh, yeah. Good job, Kelly. So now if the actors do something that is untoward, that is rude, that is salacious, that is unnecessary, the audience will shout out bag. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you can do better than that. 1, 2, 3. And then what will happen, Kelly?
They get the bag.
The offending player will wear the bag in the next scene and have to justify its existence. Now, we will be coming to you from time to time for suggestions. Simple suggestions are best. Kelly, can you give me a simple suggestion?
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe is a good one. Give me another simple suggestion.
Massachusetts.
Give me a suggestion that is not simple.
Oh, you know, like that paper roll thing that's in the bathroom that kind of goes off when you least expect it?
Keep them simple, please, for all of our sakes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Kelly Whitaker. All right, let's bring the cast up. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our actors and our scientists. Come on. Okay, so what's going to happen is I haven't introduced anybody yet because we're going to play a game. I need you and you. And you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Come on up stage.
Okay, sure.
And the rest of you can have a seat.
Oh, okay.
All right. Lucky us.
And are there any kids in the audience?
Okay. There's one right there.
All right, kids, come on down front. We have beanie babies for you. All right, come on, get yourself a beanie baby. Come on, kids.
Woohoo!
Ooh, yeah.
Get your beanie
Come on,
baby.
kiddos. Come on right over here.
Behind you, Jane.
All right, grab yourself a beanie baby. Oh, here, get one. There's beanie babies all around. May the force be with you. All right, stand right there.
Congratulations.
All right, that's our show.
Yeah.
All right. We got one
What
more.
have we learned?
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, things just come to you without having to
Okay,
earn it.
kids, I need you down here because you're going to be our judges. Come
All
here.
right. Yeah.
Oh, I need one more. Mr. Mcshane? Come on up.
Dr. Mcshane?
Dr. Mcshane?
Yeah.
All right, kids.
I know, it's a dead
I'm going to
giveaway.
need your help. One of these people is a sea otter expert, and the other 3 are actors. And I'm not going to tell you who they are. So we're going to ask them questions to find out. I'm going to start off, and then you guys are going to help me out with the subsequent questions. Got it? So think about sea otter questions. So we'll start with this gentleman. What do sea otters like to eat?
Sea otters mostly eat crustaceans and mollusks. The sea otter itself, as compared to the river otter, does enjoy small clams and often sand dabs because they're a little softer to break. They use stones to break open the shells and then pick the meat out.
This possible scientist, where can you find sea otters?
Normally in the sea.
Yeah.
Great.
The simplest answer is often true.
And this scientist, how many sea otters are there in the off California?
I think there's about 3,000 otters right now.
Okay. And who has a question for this possible scientist?
Yes,
Did
yes.
you have any sea otter questions?
Yes,
sir.
what do they eat?
What do they eat?
Well, I would refer to the first answer. They eat everything that he said, and sometimes hot dogs if they're seen floating in a
Yes,
harbor that have fallen off
If
a
you're
party
near the
boat.
Giant Stadium, it's often hot dogs.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you,
Do you guys
Professor.
have any, we'll
Thank
do
you,
another round
Doctor.
of questions. Any other questions for the experts, kids? What do you want to know about sea otters?
There's about 3,000, by the way, in the open. So you didn't say much.
3,000.
What do they drink?
Sea otters like Gatorade.
Okay.
It's usually the herring-flavored Gatorade they enjoy with chunks.
And yes, this possible scientist, what do they like to drink?
Oh, also, well, it depends if it's 5 o'clock or not.
Okay, and this possible scientist?
They don't drink anything.
They don't drink anything? Okay.
Oh, I agree, they don't.
Okay. All right, kids.
We know that because we're experts in sea otters.
I want you to, on 3, I want you to point to the person you think is the real scientist. Put your arms out straight. Ready? 1, 2, 3. This one, what do you think? Who's the scientist? Oh, okay.
Don't
You think
look
the
at
one
that.
holding the microphone?
Don't be fooled by that.
Oh, future
Authority needs no volume.
That's what he
How about
wants
you? Who
to
do you
believe.
think the scientist is, kids? This one? All right. So the real scientist is actually this gentleman right here, Greg
Holding a
Sanders.
microphone.
But you won the toss-up challenge.
Yes, I did.
So your team gets to go first, Mike.
All right.
Diggity ottery dog.
Yeah.
Monsieur?
So you are going to be the Otters. Greg, why don't you have a seat?
Brian? This is Team Otter, right?
Yeah, and Mike, why don't you grab? I saved the throne for you.
This is a nice seat.
So, Greg Sanders, how long have you been working with otters?
Oh, I've been working with otters about 30 years.
About 30 years. Can we hear him okay?
Can you hear me okay?
Thanks. And how did you get into this crazy line of work?
Well, I was working with the National Park Service at the time, and there was a program where they wanted to move some sea otters from the Central Coast to San Nicolas Island, which is one of the islands off the coast. And they needed somebody who was a biologist and a diver and was willing to accept the law enforcement authority.
Law enforcement authority. This was controversial?
Well, yes, it was, because some people didn't want to see sea otters moved around, and they were afraid they were going to be shot when we took them to San Nicolas Island. So rather than get some real police, well, I guess I was real police at the time, but they wanted to train and cross-train because we needed to save money, so there's one biologist could do both things.
By round of applause, how many people have ever seen a sea otter before? Okay. Greg, how big are they usually?
Well, how much do you weigh down here? Do you know how much you weigh? 40-something? Well, if we cut your arms and legs off, you could be a small sea otter. Sea otters adults are usually about 40 to 60 pounds, but we've caught them up to 110 pounds. They're much bigger than you think.
So they're mammals, is that correct?
They're mammals, yes.
But they're different from most marine mammals. How are they different from elephant seals and sea lions and polar bears and seals?
Well, sea otters are the smallest of the marine mammals, even though they're larger than you might think. And they differ primarily because they use a dense fur coat to keep warm rather than blubber like seals and sea lions and especially whales. So they use a really dense fur coat.
How thick can their fur coat be?
Well, most people use an estimate about 1 million hairs per square inch.
1 million hairs per square inch. That's pretty thick.
Yeah, not all the fur is exactly equal, so when you get towards the nose, it's a little sparser. It may be more like 300,000 per square inch.
And I think on the human head, the average person, not me, has about 100,000.
Yeah, so much denser than us.
Does it make for good cold weather wear?
Well, for us, it would be very, very warm for us to wear. In fact, I met someone who was from the North Slope, and he said he had a sea otter hat, North Slope of Alaska, up towards the Arctic. And he said he had an otter hat. And I said, well, that's a good place to wear. He says, oh, it's too warm to wear up there. So actually, they need that because they're primarily in the water all the time, and that takes the heat away rather quickly from the animal.
So you told me that their lack of blubber affects the amount of time that they can spend underwater?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Well, how do they keep warm? How do they keep warm then if they don't have blubber?
When an otter has to eat, they have to dive down to the bottom and get those shellfish. Where'd he go? Oh, he's over there somewhere. Get those shellfish on the bottom. And at first, the reason they can keep warm is they have air trapped in their fur. But as they start to dive, they have to actually push down because it's like a little life jacket around them, and they need to go all the way down to the bottom. And eventually that air works its way out. But in the process of doing that, they get very cold. And so they're working their muscles, they're staying busy, but then they get cold, and they have to stop, and they have to rest. And they come up to the surface, and they spend a lot of time grooming their fur and pushing air into their fur, blowing air into their fur, and getting nice and dry so they can sleep and rest and get their body temperature back up.
So it's important to keep your distance if you see them if you're out kayaking.
Yeah, that's a good message if you ever have the opportunity to see sea otters. Their rest period is very important for them. So sometimes you think, oh, well, I just disturbed them. They just swam away a little bit. They need that time to recover their heat reserves. And actually, some of the temperature measurements, as they go up in heat, if they get a certain temperature, they wake up and they go eat again. So they're kind of on a cycle like that.
Do they eat a lot?
They eat a lot, yes. The estimates that people generally use are about 25% of their body weight.
25% of their
day.
body weight. Mm-hmm. So that's, let's say, a 160-pound individual. That's
a lot of hamburgers.
40 pounds of hamburgers. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that's as much as one of these kids here. Holy smoke.
Yeah, probably as much as what you probably eat like 45 hamburgers a day, don't you?
Oh,
okay. Well, I think those black bean burgers would qualify.
Awesome.
Oh, a big otter.
So one more really interesting fact about sea otters is people thought that California sea otters were completely extinct at one point, that they'd been hunted to near extinction for their fur, for their pelts.
That's right.
But how are there 3,000 of them now?
Well, they've done a pretty good job of helping themselves recover after we stopped hunting them. And they were rediscovered in California in the 1930s when the Highway 1 was built and the Bixby Creek Bridge was put in. They were rediscovered in California. They've been protected ever since. And so with us not hunting them and them producing pups at a regular basis, they've been able to recover over that period of time now to about 3,000 otters.
And we were down to how many?
Perhaps as few as 50 otters left in
50
California.
otters along Big Sur are up to 3,000 now. That's amazing. All right. Hey, Kelly, can you spin the story wheel over there? Good spin, good spin. Wow, Kelly's been working out. Yeah. So we've got everything over there. Oh, Disney. Okay, we've got Spielberg, we've got Disney. Otter Crew, I'm just going to turn it over to you guys. How would Disney tell the story of the otter? Or can we see some otters in a Disney movie?
Yeah, sure we would.
Absolutely. Another team, you're welcome to step up and help them.
Hey, what's up, little otter?
Oh,
It's me, Bob, the sea lion. Good to see you, shrimp. And I mean shrimp.
why are you so mean to me? Why are you making fun of me? Just because I don't have blubber.
And that's why, man. You're a thin dude in a fat animal's world here, okay? That's what I'm telling you. You know, there's a circle of life, like it's a circle of fat around me.
I see it.
Yeah. You got to see it and you got to live it. You got to be the fat, you got to move the fat.
I don't have any fat. I wish I did, but I wasn't born with it. Nobody in my family has any fat.
But how do you survive?
We're
That's
ectomorphic.
crazy, man.
I don't know.
Because there used to be like 5 or 50 of you, and all of a sudden it's like Otter Town. What did you do? Tell me.
We just get under the water
Yeah?
and start to swim.
Yeah?
we can go so fast. You see,
Yeah?
I've got a million hairs per square inch, and every single one of them wants to tell a story to the world about how important we are and how beautiful we are. If only someone would listen to the story of the hair on my body. A million mouths in every inch to sing to you. Hear the story of the hairs within my body. They will trap in the heat. They'll help me to eat. My dreams will come true. Sure, I've been hunted to extinction.
That's true.
While you've had it easy.
I've had it great. My fat's been able to insulate me from tragedy and being hunted to death. But I was as brave as you. I'd give my last breath. I thought your life was loose and hairy, scary, brother. You've got soul 'cause you're ottery and hairy, yeah. Let the hair on
my body tell
everyone the circle of
the otters are back again. The circle of
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Mcshane and Brian
Conrad and
Lohman.
Michael, ladies and
The
gentlemen.
incomparable Conrad Kono. Michael Schindlinger on the bass. Disney movie. They holding my heat because I like to eat. That's awesome. Judges' scores. Whoa, a 3, and a 4. All right. Not bad for the first scene. All right, Greg, you can have a seat. Let's bring on the ladies. Ana Elise Garcia, will you come on up? Thanks for joining us. Ana is a gaucho from UCSB. Ana, what are you studying at UCSB?
I study parasites that live inside snails.
Parasites that live inside snails. Are these local snails that you're studying?
Yeah, I collect my snails from Carpinteria Salt Marsh. So it's the California horn snail. It's about this big.
And what do these parasites, where do they, you know what? We're going to stop right here. I'm going to switch up the game. So your teammates are, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. It's an all-female team. Joe McGinley and Kelly Holden Bashar. Kelly, we're going to send you out of the room.
Good, because I did not want to hear that.
And then when you come back in, you're going to need to guess 3 pieces of information in the form of a scene.
Okay.
So when Kelly comes in, she's going to do a scene with her teammate, and she's going to need to get 3 pieces of information based on what Anna's told us, and I'm going to come to you guys for those. So Anna, I'm just curious, how many different types of parasites do you study? How many different species or breeds?
There are 19 different species that infect this one snail.
And you discovered something kind of interesting, something I'd never heard before. They've got like some of these worms, these parasites have a caste system.
Yeah, so out of these 19 species, I've found that 9 of them have a social organization. So similar to what we all know from ants, bees, termites, where there's the queen reproductive, and then we have sterile workers. These parasites have something similar, where there are many queen reproductives, and then we have sterile warriors, soldiers, troopers.
So who do these clone troopers, these clone warriors, who do they battle against inside the snail?
They protect the snail from invasion by other parasites. They want to keep control of that snail. That snail is their home, their food.
And where do they live in the snail?
Most of them live in the gonad. So what these parasites do is they infect the snail and they castrate it. So one single parasite comes into the snail, and then it starts asexually producing more and more parasites. It takes over the snail's reproductive system. Snail will never again make snail babies, and all of that energy is just turn into a parasite-producing factory.
Wow. And how long might these parasites live inside one of these great horned snails?
These snails are really long-lived, 8, 10 years, maybe more. And
The snails will
so
live 8 to 10 years with these parasites in them.
if the parasite is able to stay in control of the snail, they can live in the snail as long as the snail is alive.
So I got to ask, what are some of their battle tactics?
So the ones that have this soldier cast are parasites that have a mouth part. They have a really strong muscular pharynx, and they can use this to attack other parasites.
So they've got big mouths. And what about the parasites that don't have big mouthed warriors? Do they ever prevail?
No.
Now, this is only part of the life cycle for a parasite. Will they be in here for 10 years, but then they want to move on to other creatures? How does that life cycle work?
So these parasites that are living inside the snail, at some point they switch and they start producing a different kind of larva that will then swim out of the snail in search of the next host in the life cycle. So there's one parasite, I call it Yuha, just for short.
Yuha, okay.
Yuha will leave the snail. This larva looks like a huge sperm. It has 2 eye spots, and it swims around looking for the next host, killifish. It goes inside the killifish, and it insists close to its brain, where it can control the behavior of the fish. And so it'll make the fish swim closer to the surface of the water and turn its belly upside up towards the sun. And it's basically sending Morse code to the birds and just telling the bird, eat me, because it wants to end up in the bird, where it'll find other parasites, reproduce sexually, and then the eggs fall back into the water where they infect the snail.
So it goes from snail into fish. It controls the fish's brain. It makes the fish swim to the surface. The birds eat the fish, and the cycle continues.
That is correct.
Now, here all along, I always taught that the predators will eat the weak and the old, but in this case, they've got like a concierge. A pizza delivery boy, I think is, yeah.
Yeah.
One more question before we bring Kelly in. When do these parasites battle in your lab? Do you watch them battle?
Yeah.
Do you guys take bets?
So what I've done for my research is when I dissect a snail, there are thousands of parasites that spill out. And I noticed that some of them are really large, they're slug-like, they do not move a lot, and they're filled with offspring. And then I saw a lot of smaller ones that didn't have anything developing inside of them, but still had a really big mouth part. So what we were wondering is what's the role of these small ones, and we thought maybe they're soldiers because we saw that they were a lot more common in the front of the snail, where we would expect invasions to occur. So to see if they were actually more aggressive than the reproductive ones, I created some parasite Hunger Games. So I took some of the reproductive ones and put them in one well, and then I took some of the soldier ones, the small ones, in a different well, and then I put a different parasite that infects the snail in both of the wells, and I saw which one attacked more, the soldiers or the reproductives. And the soldiers do attack a lot more than the reproductives do.
It's a whole nother world. It's like science fiction in real life. All right. Well, we're going to bring, why don't we bring Kelly back in? And Anna, why don't you have a seat? So what are some good things to get? What does she, 3 things she might want to guess?
Big mouth.
Big mouth, that's a good one. What else? Gonads, that's a good one.
Fights to the death.
Fights to the death. Okay, big mouth, gonads, fights to the death. All right. All right, let's bring her back in. So I'm going to give you your choice. I've got two scenarios. So you've got to guess 3 pieces of information in the form of a story, and you can do it. Joe, do you want to do it as a Hunger Games or as a Little House on the Prairie?
Oh man, I think the audience should decide.
What do you guys want to see, Hunger Games or Little House on the Prairie? So it's kind of a Hunger Games-like scenarios. You guys are parasites.
And I'm going to have to guess
3 pieces of information that Joe and maybe some of her assistants might try to relay to you.
Okay,
And folks,
I
when
think
she
I
gets
might
them, I
need
need you
some
to applaud.
assistance,
Can
yes.
you applaud for me? All right. Okay, take it away, ladies.
you, always getting us in trouble. You and your, oh, you know.
My big ideas.
Oh, I wish. If we had big ideas, we wouldn't be in such trouble. But you just keep flapping, and they're watching
I
us.
know, my big mouth.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna get us out of this. I am amazing with a bow and arrow.
Oh, I know you are. I know.
I mean, watch this. Sorry. That's not actually what I meant to do, but
Sorry. She's a tough one, this one.
Yeah.
You're real tough.
I'm like, it's like I'm leathered. I'm like there's no part of me that's soft. I am hard. I am like metal. You hit me. Yes.
All right.
So strong.
No, you're kind of like a guy.
Yeah,
You
buff, man. I'm tough. I've got
big-
testosterone. I've got
Sure.
big hands.
And, well, you
Big
know.
feet.
Yes.
And
That arrow got me
Oh, sorry, Chester.
right in your special area.
You know, like they call it in Spain.
Oh, you're. Wow.
You know, like in Spain.
Right in your manly parts? Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Well, you know, the
Your-
nickname for. I can't say it, we'll get in trouble. The Spanish name.
Balsack? Balsack? Sorry about your ballsack.
No, some people stop, and I used to be able to.
Go. Nads.
Yeah.
Go Nads. Woo! I used to be on their team, and I would go, oh, go Nads! Go Nads! Yes. Oh, did you hear that? I think it's almost time. They're going to set us into the wild.
Oh.
Are you scared? Don't be
Yes.
scared. I'm
Well-
going to take care of you. I'm manly. I have gonads. We're going to be fine.
I'm going to creep over here and look in the brushes. You look that direction.
All right. Careful in the brushes. You're going to brush. You brushing up in the brushes?
Look, this is a serious business.
I know it's serious business. Look, when we are
gotta do
released, I want you to go right for water.
All right.
Huh.
I say right now that we do battle, but just so we bruise each other a little. What do you think of that?
You want to spar?
Yes, just far, but just so we
not
maybe
what-
just maybe leave some bruises and marks, but that's
Not
all.
what we do. We don't do that.
What do you mean?
You know what we have to do. She knows what we have to do.
We have to fight. Yes. We have to brawl. We have to punch till the fight.
He has ceased to be.
Alive. We have to fight to the death. We're gonna do it. Pew, pew, pew.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe McGinley and Kelly Holden Bashir. Judges scores. A 3, a 4, and a 3. All right. And Kelly, I think somebody called a bag on you, so I can't control it. All right. So, Dr. Michael Schindlinger, will you come on up on stage? Now, you ended up studying yellow-headed Amazonian parrots, is that correct?
That is
part of your work?
correct.
And what did you discover about them?
Well, first I found that they, despite the fact that they're really great imitators in captivity and will imitate the dog, the telephone, in the wild they only imitate each other, even though there are other parrots living in the area.
So what are they doing? Why are they doing that?
That's another good question. I was wondering when I first went down there, are they using this ability to imitate to generate variation among individuals, or are they using it to eliminate variation by all copying each other? And it turns out that for the 90% or so of their daily utterances, it's to eliminate variation. In fact, I traveled 90 miles away and found a population there that was making all of the same sounds as my focal field area, except there were slight differences.
So wait, you're telling me that these yellow-headed Amazonian parrots had dialects?
Not only dialects. I then went inland and found a population about 120 miles from my focal field site, and they had a completely different language.
Wow.
And in fact, I did playback experiments where I took all these recordings of parrots from their own population, parrots from the similar sounding population, and parrots from the different sounding population. And they don't react really to calls from a language that's not their own.
So you're able to identify, you could if you just put it very simply, by talking to a parrot, you could tell what part of the country it came from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you sound like you're from the Bronx and you sound like you're from the South.
Right, and if they say chowda,
Uh-huh.
you know,
That's
bring back a word from a previous skit.
Yeah, that parrot's from Boston. So what's so special about parrots? What captured your imagination about parrots?
Well, first of all, they tend to exist in very beautiful locations.
Mm-hmm.
So when picking a graduate school subject, have to make, less interested in penguins.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I grew up with a parrot that my father had purchased in the 1970s from a Brooklyn pet shop. And we suspected at the time, and it sort of became apparent later, that he was clearly wild caught and not doing as well in captivity as he might have done had he been left out there.
What made you think that Charlie was wild caught?
A few things. First, he had the primary flight feathers permanently removed from one side, which is a technique that the poachers will use. Secondly, he had a rich set of sounds that sounded nothing like your typical rah, rah, hello.
Mm-hmm.
He sounded much more like a fax machine or coin slot game or something like that. Just really complex sounds that when I later saw wild parrots of his species in the wild, I recognized them immediately, and I was like, oh, my people.
So you found where Charlie came from?
Not quite.
But where did he come from, potentially?
I never figured that out. Probably Trinidad or somewhere in northern South America is likely places where a lot of the parrots for the pet trade were being captured before the wild bird importation ban.
Is this a problem? Are a lot of parrots still captured for the pet trade?
Yes, they are. Both domestically in countries where they still live free, and also there's a fair amount of smuggling still going on.
Is it possible if you stop these parrots at the border by analyzing their dialects, you could know where they came from?
It is possible. In fact, I had some tourists come down to my field site to experience wild parrots for themselves. These were people who owned double yellow-headed Amazons. And one woman who was from Wisconsin, as soon as she heard the wild parrots, she's like, oh yeah, my bird makes these same sounds. A little bit higher, but pretty much these same sounds.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, I mean, maybe to your ears, but, I'm the scientist. So why don't you send me a tape and I'll take a listen. And she sent me a tape of her bird that was clearly making all of the wild-caught sounds, but not from my population, from the population that was closer to the one that was 90 miles north with the northern accent. So she was spot on. She knew her bird. Yeah.
And so if law enforcement might actually, if they capture or find smugglers with a parrot, they might know where to send the parrot back to?
That's a really good possibility, because when they do capture these parrots, they don't want to just release them anywhere because it's mixing gene pools, possibly introducing disease that might have been endemic in one population but not in another. So by asking the parrots themselves, where are you from, if you have a dialect map, then you can also focus your law enforcement efforts in the places where, if all the parrots are speaking with a southern drawl, as opposed to saying chowda, they know where to
go.
Look. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Dr. Michael Schindlinger. We're going to bring Stephen and Dano up here. I'm just kind of wondering.
Funny you should say that.
Well, let's toss this out. Kind of like we all know what trajectory Michael's life took. What if he'd been inspired by another animal other than a parrot?
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Let me see that alternate
We're going
reality.
to find out what animal that is?
It's up to you. You guys take it from here. You're the experts.
Not anymore.
Yeah, really.
What's another animal that Michael might have been inspired by? A kangaroo. A kangaroo. We'll take. A platypus has a lot of weight in the room, evidently, but we're going to take kangaroo.
Kangaroo? Okay.
Thank you. We're going to do that next week. Actually, we may work it in tonight.
Yeah, okay. Hey, hello, mate. I didn't see you standing over there.
I'm just so fascinated.
Really, are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing down here, down under, where
Well-
I think kangaroos are from? I'm pretty sure I am. I'm here down under, right?
Yeah, that's where kangaroos are from. I've come all the way from Australia. I
Really?
mean, from United. Ow!
That's what we do, mate.
Oh, it's going to be a long residency.
Why didn't you pick a better place that's a little more scenic
Well,
than this? It's mostly desert,
I know.
mate.
I thought about parrots, but then someone yelled out kangaroo.
Ah, well, you live and learn, mate. Live and learn.
Listen. What are some things I should know about you?
Well, I've got a pouch. If you look inside my pouch, I've got... Ah, see? You shouldn't stand so close. That's the first lesson. Here are my young. I believe that means I'm a marsupial, mate.
A marsupial?
Marsupial, yeah,
I
mate.
see. Wow, your pouch looks very comfy.
Yeah, take a look. That's my young, mate. That's where they live.
Oh, is that an iPhone?
Yes, it is. I found it.
Oh.
Yeah, I took it off another grad student.
Listen.
Yeah.
What do you mean, another grad student?
A grad student. There was another grad student down here not too long ago.
I see.
Yeah, and so I took it right out of the backpack.
Oh, I see. Listen, I think I'm gonna go study platypus.
All right.
Yeah, I think that they've got poison thumbs. I think I've heard.
Yeah. They're fascinating animals,
and they don't
mate.
punch you back like that.
Right. Well, my
I
apologies,
thought we were
mate.
going to be friends.
Well, it doesn't mean we're not friends, mate. It's just the way I communicate.
What?
Right? Here I come again.
Wait a minute. Look over there.
Hey. Pretty comfortable, eh, mate?
And blackout. Stephen Kieran, Dan O'Connor.
I'm so glad you did that.
Michael, it could have been just like that. In an alternate reality, judges scores. A 3, a 3, and a 3. All right, back over to the sea otters. Greg, will you come up to the throne chair here? Can you tell us a little bit about a sea otter? He's got his own children's book out there named Foki. Have
Do you know about
Foki?
Foki?
You do? Okay.
What do you know about Foki?
You've heard of him,
Heard of
okay.
it. Oh.
That's Phokey. How did he get his unusual name?
Well, he was an otter that I was chasing around to capture for various reasons, and he hung out with harbor seals. So harbor seals, the scientific name for the genus is Phoca. So a friend of mine named him Foki because he liked harbor seals. He liked them a lot.
So did he prefer their company to other otters?
Yeah, unfortunately, Foki was a rehab otter, meaning that... Not the kind of rehab you're...
What do you mean?
Don't be mad.
He was a pup abandoned by his mother, and he was brought to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and they attempted to rehabilitate him to put him out in the wild. And we ended up taking him to an island, San Nicolas Island, and released him there, and he didn't seem to like it there, so he swam away. And he grew up presumably not seeing any otters in all his life, and he became a 62-pound strapping young male, and the only thing that was close were harbor seals.
How did you know this? Did you have a radio tracker on him, or how did you follow the adventures of Foki?
Well, he did have radio implant and also a flipper tag radio when we released him from the island, but that didn't help us find him. He swam away so quickly into an area we couldn't track him, and he was gone for 2.5 years.
And how would you track him? Out on a kayak or a boat, or?
Usually we would do it from shore with a radio telemetry. We'd look for it's a VHF radio signal, so you have to be within about a mile of the animal. Mm-hmm. And if they get too far away, you can use an airplane, but you still have to be within about a mile. So we didn't know where he went, and he just disappeared. And so he showed up at Anacapa, and somebody said, "Hey, there's a sea otter hanging around Anacapa." And at that time, it was designated a no otter zone. There was no otter supposed to be there. That's another story. So I was out there to capture him and to move him back to the parent range where he originally came from before we
And
expanded.
so he was not, otters were not allowed on Anacapa Island. He was not apparently aware of this law.
No, he was not. He
And
didn't
you-
read any of the literature we gave him.
Okay. And you repatriated him, you took him back to,
We took him up to Santa Cruz, just north of Monterey, and he promptly swam right back. He ended up at Catalina Island with some harbor seals down there. And then he left Catalina. Well, actually, we caught him again at Catalina, and then we took him up to Santa Cruz. We spun him around
so
three
not Santa
times.
Cruz Island, but up to
Santa Cruz, the city.
Santa Cruz, the
About
city.
several hundred miles up the coast.
Several hundred miles up the coast.
And we spun him around 3 times and released him, and he still swam all the way back down. Went right back to Catalina Island to some harbor seal friends he found there. And then he went out to San Clemente Island, again with harbor seals.
And again against the law, to be insane.
Yes, that was
Okay.
still the no otter zone. But there was a report of an otter later on in Mexico at Los Coronados Islands, hanging out with harbor seals. And so once he was in Mexico, he was free to stay there.
Let's go to Mexico.
Did the other harbor seals like him? Did they kind of cooperate? Did they tolerate his presence?
Yeah, in this case, they seemed to tolerate him, and they seemed to like him hauling out with them. It's not the case with all the otters that hang out with harbor seals, but in this case, they tolerated him.
And you said it made him a little bit more difficult to capture?
Yes, because we when we go to capture or recapture a sea otter, we use a diver technique. I would go underwater with another diver. We use a type of apparatus that doesn't produce any bubbles, so they don't alert them to their presence, to our presence. And then we take an underwater vehicle that pulls the diver and pushes a trap in front of us, and we sneak up from underneath them while they're sleeping and capture them in the trap. It's easier said than done. And in this case, since he was going out and hauling out on the beach with the harbor seals, you can't get up underneath them. Actually, I did try to swim up onto the beach one day with a big net and trying to sneak up in that way. And his harbor seal buddies alerted him, and he kind of got around me, and all I got was a rock in my net, and I felt like Charlie Brown. For those who know that.
All right, well, thank you, Greg. We're going to turn it back over to Brian Loban and Michael Mcshane. Gosh, it sounds like this adolescent otter was trying to figure out who he was. And my challenge to you, when I was an adolescent, the one place I could go to for really good information on life was the ABC After School Special. Okay. Do you guys remember those? So they would run in the afternoon, and they would be stories like, my kid is a punker, or when can you tattle on a friend, or, hanging out at the mall one summer, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Sarah Jessica Parker was in ABC After School Specials, Vince Vaughn, a lot of movie stars started out there. So I'd like to see Folky's life as an ABC After School Special, and take it away.
Folky, can you come in here a second? I've got something I've got to say.
What, Dad?
Your mom's not going to live with us anymore.
Why? Why is she leaving us? She doesn't love me?
It's not that. It's that, she's met a harbor seal. And she seems to prefer his company to mine. But don't worry, Folky. I'll be here for you. I'll help raise you. But you got to promise me one thing.
What?
You'll stay away from harbor seals. If there's one promise I need from you, Folky, it's that you'll never, ever hang out with gangs of harbor seals. Can you make your dad that one?
Elaine, we've got a problem. Meet me behind the kelp bed. Of course, Dad. I promise that I'd never hang out with a harbor seal. Harbor seal.
What's in your pocket, Folky?
It's my eye clam. Dad, I've been seeing Sheila.
The harbor seal?
Yes! I don't know what came over me. I know you tried to teach me different. I came from a good tidal pool. There was nothing to see what happened, but one day I dipped out of the water and I was mid-clam, and there she was. Magnificent shiny coat, that taut brown nose, those little waverly whiskers, and suddenly all my sense went out the window.
All right, I understand and I can forgive as long as you haven't been to Catalina.
Hey, get this tattoo off.
Or Mexico?
Dad, I need an intervention, man. I need rehab. I'm crazy for harbor seals.
Okay.
Oh, Mom!
Oh, you're so son. You're harbor seal crazy. What are you doing here with your gang?
That's right. I'm riding with the seals now.
Is this Sheila?
Yeah. Isn't she hot? Man, can't you just smell the kelp on her?
Hey, we're all gonna take our bikes and ride up to Catalina.
Hey, can I come? Can I come along with you guys?
Why do you think I'm here, Folky?
You have to make a decision, Folky.
That's right, Folky, and maybe you can come down to Mexico when you're done thinking about it.
Thank you, Nestor.
De nada.
Why don't you get rid of that lame fur coat and ride with us?
I'm sorry to do this, Smokey.
What are you doing, Dad?
I've got a gigantic apparatus which I'm going to push towards you.
I didn't even see. Where are the bubbles? I thought there'd be bubbles.
I'm pushing
Get
it
me
very
bubbles.
slowly.
I'm a rock.
I've got you, Folky. I've got you.
Okay. Dad,
I've
you're
got
missing. You just got a rock.
I'm just a rock.
You just got a rock. You've got an island. And a rock never wins.
Come
All
on,
right.
Folky.
Dad, I've got to spread my flippers sometime. Let's go.
Let's go.
I got a rock. Ladies and gentlemen, give me your, or judges, give me your scores. A 4, a 4, and a 4. All right. Bravo. So, let's see, let's bring back up the parasite ladies.
Yeah.
So what is your attraction? Why do you love your work? What appealed to you about this type of science?
Why do I like parasites?
Yes.
Be honest. Come on.
They're so interesting. So I guess I've always liked studying or exploring things that are just barely out of reach for most people. So since I was little, just exploring caves or diving in the ocean floor or diving in caves, big things. But then when I did my undergrad, I'm from Mexico. I did my undergrad there in biochemistry and pharmacology. And the classes I enjoyed the most were those in which I got to see the really tiny things that you can't usually see with the bare eye. So I love the microbiology, bacteriology, virology classes, but because I was studying in a pharmacology degree, almost everything had a focus on how they cause disease, how to cure them, the pathology, how they're bad. And so at the beginning of my 4th year as an undergrad, I got a chance to come to Santa Barbara in an exchange program. And so the one remaining tinyology class that I hadn't taken was parasitology.
Who was the teacher?
Armin Curious, sitting right here.
All right. So was there a moment or part of the subject matter that really kind of sparked your interest? Wow, this is cool. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so just like all the other things, they were fascinating. But the fact that this class didn't focus as heavily on the disease getting sick part, but it focused a lot on the ecological side of parasites, how parasites are just part of everything. They're important. Ecosystems that have a lot of parasites are healthier than ecosystems that do not. If you were to go out to Carpinteria Salt Marsh and just combine all of the parasites together in the middle, it would be equivalent to having 5 elephants standing out there.
What, there are 5 elephants worth of parasites just down here in the carp salt marshes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then learning about how they manipulate the behavior of their hosts to complete their life cycle. Just everything about parasites is
So
mind-blowing.
what's your favorite part? Do you like being in the lab or being in the field or being in the classroom? What's the most exciting part?
Oh, yeah. I have to pick just one?
Yes.
I don't know. I think being in the classroom. I really, really like sharing the things I like with others and getting them excited about the things I like.
And tell me about a typical day in the classroom.
So I think the students in the parasitology class are really lucky because they just get to dissect all sorts of things that other parasitology classes don't get a chance to,
So
just because we're right by the ocean.
Lots of dissection of ocean
Yeah.
fauna.
So fish, crabs, snails.
Cutting stuff open, okay.
Yeah.
How many people will be in a class?
This last year, there were 120 enrolled students.
Okay. And how many of you are cutting stuff open at any one time?
The lab sections have about 25 people.
Okay. So I'd like to see, like maybe a typical day in the lab.
Good morning, one of my students, Kathy. I probably should explain why you're wearing that bag. Yes. Let me guess. You had a rough night last night and you're just afraid to face me. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right. I was out all night, out on the town. After a good dissection, I just like to hit the town, so I did, and, well, here I am. I'll take it off in a moment. I just didn't want to startle you.
Well, you wouldn't startle me. No, you wouldn't startle me at all. Hey, let's cut open some sea life.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to cut open some sea...
Here's a mollusk. Why don't you start... Careful. There's careful. It's a parasite. Uh-oh. I think it's inside of me. It's now commanding me what to do. It's telling me to take this bag off my head, I think. Oh, it's commanding me to walk up really super straight now and march around like a toy soldier. Yep, that's what the parasite's telling me to do. Oh, gosh, I feel really terrible. Here, should I cut you open? No, don't do that. I'll take that away from you. The parasite's telling me to, and I'm going to throw it. Oh, it's stuck in, there it is. It's stuck in the countertop. That was fortunate. I thought it stuck in my hand. Oh, it just left my body. Oh, I'm terrified. I need to sit down in a giant chair. To my giant chair. Teacher, please, do you think if I pet your arm hard enough that you'll give me an A? Certainly. Certainly, of course. Oh, this reminds me of something. Yes, I remember now. I was going to tell you something. Remember, if you ever go into the world of parasitology, just know this. There are so many wonderful parts about it that if someone ever asks you what's your favorite part, you'd never be able to say which one. Remember that. Now, let's cut open some more sea life and hope something doesn't jump in our heads again. That's great. All of those parasites just went into my head. How unfortunate. Come on, let's go down to the bank, and I'm going to take a bunch of money out of the vault. But first, follow me. There, one just went into your head, and it flew out of my fingertips. Let's go down to the salt marshes. Quickly, let's get out of here. And scene.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Joe and Kelly and Steven. Oh my goodness. 4 and a 5. I could see steam coming out of Steven's ears there. Thank you for not taking it easy on him. You could have taken it easy on him, but you didn't. All right, let's see. We back up. Let's have some more parrots. Michael, can you come on over?
Yeah, Michael.
So before you studied parrots, you were studying vocalizations of some, can you call them insect sounds?
It was actually after I studied the parrots.
After you studied the parrots. And do we have it queued up there, Lauren? All right, let's take a listen and we'll see if we can guess what these are. Okay, that's one. And let's play, can we play the last one, Lauren? Kids, you want to guess what insects those are? Yes, Asher. Caterpillars. Did you look and see it on the screen, or did you know that already?
Yes.
Ah, he saw it on the screen. So the last one was two species communicating with each other. Who was talking there?
Yeah, that was actually, it was a caterpillar of the Alcon blue butterfly from Europe, and the squeak, that was that was the caterpillar sounds. And the higher squeaky mouse type sounds were actually the ants that they live symbiotically with.
So they live with the ants, they work together, they're teammates?
They more exploit the ants to some extent.
How did the caterpillars exploit the ants?
In that symbiotic relationship, the ants actually bring the caterpillars back home and feed them, treat them like giant larvae. And so the caterpillars will actually beg from the ants, and the ants will feed them.
What will they feed the caterpillars?
Regurgitation.
Regurgitation, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Well.
Now, what's in it for the ants? Why do they look after these caterpillars?
The caterpillars have a number of attractants that they use. They have chemical signals they use to attract them. In some species, they actually provide a nectar droplet from a gland on their back that the ants drink.
That's so good.
Wow, so the caterpillars are giving dessert or a sweet drink, they're giving Coca-Cola to the ants?
Yeah, and the ants basically provide protection for the caterpillars.
Protection
That's
from?
From parasitoid flies and wasps, mostly.
How do they protect the caterpillars from flies and wasps?
Mostly by standing on them and waving away anything that tries to land and lay an egg.
So it's a cooperative relationship.
It is.
And then did you have them in a lab to study them?
Yeah, it was quite easier to chase ants around a jar than it was to chase parrots around Mexico. So I was able to collect a lot more data in a lot shorter time period.
Could you hear them with your human ear, or did you need to use special technology to?
You can't really hear them. You can feel a caterpillar vibrating in your hand. And about 100 years ago, when it was first discovered, they were making these giant paper cones that they would hold up to their ears. Much easier now to take a phonograph cartridge and just put it right on the plant, and then suddenly you can hear every vibration. You can even hear the ants running up and down the stem of the plant.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so turning it back over to Stephen and Dano, it would be fun to do something with audience participation.
Moving Bodies works like this. We each are assigned an audience member, and we are not allowed to move anything at all. And everything that the audience member, they will move every part of our body.
So we need two members of the audience. We have one.
Okay.
Okay, two. All right. All right. So Anna, so Asher, if you'd stand behind Stephen for a second.
Yeah, just stand behind me.
Okay, so, and Anna, you're going to do the same thing with me, but we're going to show, basically this is what happens.
Yeah.
If you move Stephen, he's going to stay there, okay? Wherever you move him, he's going to move. He's not going to move anywhere that you don't move him.
Right.
If you want him to walk, just tap the back of his knee like that, okay? And if you want him to go backwards, and you tap the front of his knee like that, okay? And if you want to move his head, I might have to, just gently. Remember, Asher, you break him, you buy him.
Okay.
So be gentle, because our parts move just like your parts. And which one of us is the caterpillar and which one of us is the ant?
Caterpillar.
Okay, I guess that was done.
That was easy. Okay.
All right,
I'm
and
the caterpillar.
I'm an ant, and Stephen's a caterpillar.
I have a lower voice,
so
right?
Anna, stand behind me, and I can't move unless you move me. Okay, do you want to practice just moving my arm once? Move it. Yep, there you go, and it'll stay there till you move it somewhere else. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll be neutral to start with, and then you guys
we're already moving.
Move us everywhere. You ready?
Things are happening already on this side.
Here we go.
Hey, over there. Hey, ant.
Hey, Mr. Caterpillar.
Yeah.
I brought you some regurgitant.
Oh, thank you. Here, let me pay you with some nectar.
Oh.
It just came out of a gland. Yes, it did. Yes, sir.
I'm coming over there. I'm coming over there to get the nectar.
Okay, here, I'll let it rest over here. Why don't we meet up and I'll give you some nectar?
All right.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Here comes
I'm
some
coming.
nectar.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Regurgitant.
I'm almost there.
And here, there's the nectar, and I'll take some regurgitant.
Okay, I'm
thank
just
you.
going to sip it. Yeah, did you get the regurgitant?
Oh, almost. It's
Okay.
almost up to my mouth.
Okay.
Not quite. I'm moving away from it. I don't want it.
If only I could move my hand up to your mouth.
I sure would. No, that gives me an idea.
What? What's your? Oh,
here's what I'm.
Look, I've got some. This is a surprise.
Close enough.
Hey, there you go.
Can I tell you something? Look, I'm talking to you. I want you to know something.
Oh my God! Flies are trying to land on you. Let me stand on you.
Stand on me. Stand on me and fight them off.
I'm going to try instead, but first I'm going to wave to the fly because I knew him. We went to school together.
Oh, is this any time to be doing that?
No, well, he's a nobody.
Whoa! Stop everything.
What's going on?
I need you to stand on me.
Okay. I'm trying to. Let me just move my legs. I'm just going to walk over there.
Oh, shoot.
I'm going to walk
out
over
comes
there.
some more nectar out of my gland.
I'm going to walk over there.
Oh, I love you.
Okay.
I'm so grateful to you, even though you're standing on me.
Look.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to say thank you. I just love you.
I'll stand on you anytime.
Okay, thank you.
And blackout.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Asher, Anna, Stephen Kieran, Dan O'Connor. Judges' scores, a 4, a 4, and a 3. All right, so Kelly's doing some quick math in her head. Oh, okay, 20 for the parents, 22 for the sea otters, and 23 for the parasites. Oh my goodness, the ladies are in the lead. Well, let's bring the sea otters back up. Greg Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. So, Greg, where do you work?
I actually work for the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management.
And what does BOEM do?
We actually do offshore projects, includes oil and gas as well as offshore renewable energy projects. So I do reviews. I'm the marine mammal sea turtle specialist for the Bureau.
Okay. Well, so one of the things you said you do is a diver, and I can only imagine that capturing a wild sea otter is a bit tricky. So I wanted to involve you guys. Did you want to capture a sea otter with Greg, or do you want to do like a song cue, or what would be fun for you guys? Stephen could do sound effects.
Let's do a song cue. Yeah,
Sound cue, okay. So let's hear a little bit about the sea otter capture, and any questions you guys have, jump on in. So you would start on the shore or on a boat?
On a boat. Sometimes we have shore observers. The shore observers find the otters usually resting in a kelp bed, and then we move the boat over towards the animals as close as we can get without waking them up. Tie the boat off to kelp or anchor it, and then we get into the water with the divers. We were handed our underwater vehicle and our trap on front.
What's the underwater vehicle like? That sounds cool, like
Well,
James Bond.
it's kind of James Bond. It's got a motor on the front and a big propeller, and you have two handles on the side, and it pulls you through the water.
Cool.
Yeah, so we go ahead and get in the water, and then we have to navigate underwater using a compass, and then occasionally we come up to the surface to look, see if we're close to where the otters are. Nowadays, the divers are using a radio, and somebody on the boat is saying, "Turn the other way, turn this way, they're right in front of you." And then you go ahead and go take those directions and continue to navigate underwater. It's sometimes some pretty good distances. If we're fortunate and the otters are still asleep, or some people are asleep in here, I think, we look up underneath the kelp canopy and we look for a dark spot or spots, and we line up our trap, push the trap up under the otter. The otter's natural tendency is to dive and goes typically into the trap, or sometimes not. And then we pull a drawstring on the top of this trap that traps them into this net bag. That's the part of the trap, and I wish I had a video to show you because it would be easier. You know, I can talk about this a long time, and then I show people a picture or video, and they say, "What's that?" I just described it. Okay, so then the boat comes over. Then they actually wake up, and they're not very happy with us. So those cute little cuddly sea otters turn into Tasmanian devils. They try to bite everything. They bite the trap. We just try to keep out of their way until a boat comes over and picks us up, and then we transfer the otters into a box, and whether we're tagging them or doing surgical implants and so on, taking samples, and then we release them.
Fabulous. Well, guys, we're through the magic of improv. We're going to see that live on stage.
The capture of the otter.
The capture of the otter, and maybe this is your. How did you feel the first time? Was adrenaline pumping? Were you worried? Maybe the first time.
Oh yeah, I was very nervous. There's a lot of pressure because you can come up empty-handed, and you spend hours and sometimes days or weeks trying to get into this position. By the way, when you're going underwater, you can't talk to each other because you've got something in your mouth, so you have to use sign language, and you get all sorts of interesting signs to each other, like, what are you doing? Where to go? And yeah.
All right, well, we're going to see, once you have a seat on the couch, your very first sea otter capture. It's a song cue. Dano, do you want to call the song? Song cue.
Song cue.
Song cue.
Okay. Song cue.
Get some songs out of you guys.
All right.
Dano, do you want to call?
Sure.
I'd spotted the otter. It was a dark shadow in the kelp bed. I knew I'd have to move my machine with the net over to it in order to get close enough. I'm beginning my move.
Phrase, let's hear the song, I'm Beginning My Move.
Feeling good, feeling great. Gonna get some otter on my plate. I won't eat it, no, no, no. Just study it and go. Once I capture my first otter, I know that I'll have it made like an otter that makes his own otter shade. Otter shade, own otter shade.
Why, Dr. Greg, we meet again. Excuse me, let me pet myself to calm myself down. Yes, I'm your otter nemesis, Clam Finger.
I should have known, Clamfinger. I've been seeking you for a long time.
You've been very bothersome to us, Dr. Greg. You think you can capture us? Well, the gentle nature of the otter is like a two-way mirror. On one hand, soft and furry, but the other, you don't want to know.
I've heard that you turn into a wild Tasmanian devil. Is that true?
You don't want to find out. Or maybe your curiosity is such you do.
Freeze, freeze. Let's hear the song, Your Curiosity is Such That Maybe You Do.
Oh, Dr. Greg, you sail the 7 seas, looking for the ocean's mysteries. You're so curious and so quaint. Maybe you'll find out about the otter, or maybe you ain't.
Clam Finger.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Clam Finger.
You know my name.
Will you linger?
It all depends.
Just a finger.
I know you're curious. I can see that. You're more curious than an 8-lived cat. You got one more chance. And set your age. See if this man can get this otter in a cage.
Clam Finger. Clam Finger.
Oh, yeah.
Come here, come here, come here. Get into my bag.
Whoa! What the heck happened? Man, you got me locked up. What are you going to do with me, man? Come on.
I'm going to study you. I understand that you have some incredible tendencies which I don't quite understand.
Yes. I'm a curious and unusual creature, and I have many sides to me, but I'd be glad to give you all the information if you just give me a little breathing room.
Why, whatever do you mean?
I have a girlfriend.
Sheila the harbor seal?
Yes! You know Sheila?
Well,
Harbor good seal.
no isn't the right word. Well, yes.
Oh, she's a seal of approval, let me tell you that.
Well, if she'll seal the deal, I'll bring in Sheila.
Are you sure you could do this?
Of course. I'm
You're?
Dr. Greg.
That's right, you are Dr. Greg. I trust you implicitly.
I used to work in law enforcement, you know.
Ah, I see you're on the right side of the law then.
Of course.
Well, then.
Let me bring her in. She still rides a Harley.
Oh, baby good seal. Oh.
See, you got yourself caught. Got yourself caught real good.
He said he'd cooperate if I brought you in, Miss Sheila.
Help me out, Sheila. I'm willing for you to turn me into an honest pinniped.
I want to know his secrets. How they're possible to grow from just a small herd of otters to repopulate the entire coast of California.
There's some secrets that need to be kept under the kelp canopy.
Freeze.
Oh, boy.
Freeze. Let's hear the trio. There's some secrets that need to be kept under the kelp canopy.
Sheila, you open that clam of worms.
Or parasites.
The ocean is a lady of mystery. Some secrets must stay under the kelp canopy, where it's dark, where no light can get in.
Some secrets need to feed the science mind. No matter where we look, the secrets we know that we have to find. Help me reveal your mystery that lies under the kelp canopy.
You see, the secrets should be hidden forever and ever. No matter where they are and no matter the weather. But when I see this harbor seal that's made for me, I want to spend a couple of minutes under the kelp canopy.
Some secrets, some secrets, some secrets, some secrets.
Bravo! Kelly Holden Bashir, Brian Lohman, Michael Mcshane. Bashar, Kelly Holden, Bashar. 5, 5 and a 5. Judges' scores. All right.
Whoa! Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the music.
Conrad Kono on the keyboards. Michael Schindlinger on the bass.
Yeah.
We're moving, so we have Parrots, I'm gonna go again, and Parasites. Now you got to go to Africa, right? And it was a little bit of a mystery that you went to solve. Tell us why you went to Africa.
So I went to Africa last summer. There's this bigger project that's going on there where they're trying to reintroduce prawns into the river there to see if they can be used to control snails that carry a parasite that causes disease in humans. So schistosomiasis is the name of the disease. It's caused by a blood fluke that starts its life cycle in the snail, just like the ones I study. But then this one, after it leaves the snail, it'll infect humans. When humans go into the river to swim, wash their, I don't know, kitchen stuff, to bathe or whatever, then the parasite goes in through their hair follicles and they become infected.
So the parasite goes from the water into people, and you want to introduce prawns, big shrimp, into the lakes to eat the snails and keep it under control. Which country did you go to?
I went to Senegal.
All right, so anybody here want to go to Senegal? All right, since this is a little bit of a mystery, you're going to go to Senegal. We're going to put you in the scene, and you're going to go with a detective. You're going to go with a girl detective. Are there any Nancy Drew friends in the house?
Oh,
So Nancy Drew is going with you to help solve the mystery, and she's going to go with her friends, Bess and George. Who's going to play George? Pick out a George for us.
Oh, Stephen Kieran.
All right, he's going to play George.
Who's that George? I'll be Bess. She's boy crazy.
Okay.
Very flirty. And I'm just, because of your Tishan hair.
Oh, I'm Nancy.
I'm
I thought
saying,
you were going to be Nancy.
Oh, no,
All right,
you're
okay.
Nancy. You're Anna. So she's going to go along with you guys and tell you where you're going, because she's got it all figured out. She's been there before.
All right.
And you guys are going to help solve the mystery of the schistosomiasis snail. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nancy Drew and the mystery of the schistosomiasis of the worm in the snail. All right, so come on up here. You're gonna take us through Senegal.
Oh, it's so great to be here in Senegal. I'm so glad that we wore our matching leopard skin outfits.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm super
Nancy.
afraid of catching a blood disease.
Honestly, George, why don't you just do a couple push-ups and work off that nervous energy?
Okay, good idea.
Okay.
Nancy, do we have any snacks? Awfully hungry after that journey.
Well, of course. Here, have a prawn.
Can I stop soon?
Awesome, George. You're doing great. 10 more.
Okay.
So, say, Anna, what sort of a clue should we be looking for? Almost done, George?
I thought I was, so I think I'm done.
Okay.
So I think the first thing we have to do is eat all of these delicious mangoes that are everywhere in the streets.
Oh, well, that sounds like a job for you, Bess. Oh, honestly, these mangoes look amazing. Want one, George?
I'd love one.
Here, why don't you juggle them, George?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
It's better than push-ups.
All of the Senegalese children come up to us shouting, "Tubab, Tubab," and trying to grab our hands.
Oh my goodness. Well, what does that mean, Anna?
Tubab is what they call...
Tubab.
Oh, there you go. Tubab. Say, what can you kids tell us about the mystery of this crazy parasite? Oh, wonderful. I studied this language, of course, because I'm Nancy Drew. I know exactly what they said. We need to go to the river, and we need to introduce prawns into that scene. Let's go.
Let's go. Goodbye, local children.
Bye, children.
We go out to the river. We need to go through dirt roads.
Okay.
Some of
Say,
them are
girls,
flooded.
I think we should change into our cute matching bathing suits. What do you say?
Okay.
No, we go in with waders up to our chest.
Or
gloves
adorable
all the way up
waders.
to our shoulders.
Okay, let's put on our waders.
I vote for the waiters myself.
That powder blue waiter looks wonderful with your coloring, George.
Thanks.
And yellow was a great color for you, Bess.
Thanks, Nancy.
I'm wearing red to go with my hair. Okay.
I
Ready,
sure hope
Anna?
we don't catch a blood disease in the river.
Oh, George, if we do, I'll simply lance it for you.
Okay. That's a relief.
All right, Anna, what should we do next?
Now we go into the water.
I knew you were going to say that because I'm Nancy Drew.
Let's wade in.
Oh, Nancy, I don't
With
like
our big
this.
scissors and shovels.
Oh,
and we
yes.
get some vegetation
Here's
and look
your
for
shovel,
snails.
George.
Thanks.
Big scissors for you.
Oh, boy, Nancy. I have a feeling something terrible's going to happen.
What could happen? Whoa, the river's taking George!
Oh,
no, George!
Bye,
Oh,
George!
Help
George!
me! I'm catching a blood disease, I'm sure of it!
Here, quick!
Help me!
Rinse it up with alcohol. Rinse it up with alcohol.
Sorry, whose purse
Quick,
is
get
that?
the alcohol out of my purse!
There's
Here.
a purse over here!
I'm making a rope out of your dress! Bess, I'm sorry.
Thanks, local children.
Here I go, George.
What?
Catch this.
Okay. Some local children have helped me.
Oh.
Grab some snails
Thank
while
you.
you're coming back,
tuba,
please.
Tuba.
Quick.
I'm
pulling
coming
you
back the
back.
exact same route.
Tuba is what they call anyone
Tuba.
that's not from
Oh, you crazy
that area.
Tuba. Get
It
back.
used to be anyone from European descent, but now it's really but anyone that's not local.
Okay,
All
tuba. Hey,
right.
same to you.
Do we have some snails?
Yes, I've tied you around my waist, George, so I
Okay.
won't lose you again.
And Nancy,
Yes?
I fashioned a new dress out of palm leaves.
Well done, Bess. Well, I've got these prawns in my matching purse. Should I go ahead and put them into the water?
Sure.
Great. These prawns are really going to give those parasites the what for.
The prawns are going to eat the snails that have the parasites inside of them.
You know what? It's working already.
Look,
But
it's
we also
happening.
need to know what parasites are inside of the snails. So let's get some snails and bring them to the lab.
Of course. Let's get some snails and bring them to the lab.
I brought my river snail bag.
Hey, I don't need to go to the lab. I can tell by looking at this snail that it's got a disease.
That I sure hope it doesn't end up in me.
Schistosomiasis.
Schistosomiasis.
That's right. I could have sworn I was going to be affected with schistosomiasis.
George, Nancy wouldn't let anything ever happen to you. Don't you know that by now?
Oh, shucks. I guess you're right.
Well, I did some reading, and I got a couple of insights from Anna, and I've come up with this vial of medicine that's going to fix everything.
Oh, Nancy.
Seneca will have no more problems after this.
People can be treated with Praziquantel.
Yes.
However, the moment they go back into the river, they can get reinfected.
Oh, what a downer you are, Anna.
Anna?
I'm really trying to solve this mystery.
Which is why we need to understand transmission, introduce prawns that used to be native, but then when Diama Dam was built, they couldn't come back up
I was going to say
after.
that. Well, I
But
guess...
now the prawns can eat the snails, and then the snails won't transmit the disease to humans.
I'm the mayor of the local village. And
Oh, hello.
we really think you've done enough, Nancy.
Thank you.
We'd like Anna to stay because she seems to know what she's doing.
Oh, well, it looks like another case solved by Nancy,
Nancy
Drew.
Drew.
And blackout. Stephen Kieran, Joe McGinley, Kelly
Thank you,
Holden,
Bashar.
Schistosomiasis.
Schistosomiasis to you as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anna. Annalise Garcia, judges scores. A 5, a 4, and a 4 for Nancy Drew. How did Carolyn Keene wrote her first Nancy Drew in 1927, and she's still writing those books today. I don't know.
Amazing.
How does Carolyn Keene do it? That's just amazing. Okay, so we've got, what are the scores there, Kelly?
Parasites 36, sea otters 37.
What?
Parrots, a gentleman's 20.
Okay, so that means we have one last
But our
round
guy
to go.
plays bass.
One last round for the parrots here. So how long did you guys have Charlie in the family?
Ooh, probably close to 30 years.
30 years. Can you tell us a little bit more? What did he like to eat? What did he do around the house? Tell us about him as an
Sure.
individual.
I took good care of him in the sense that I didn't keep him caged. He had free run of the house, and eventually I even taught him how to fly again with his busted wing years later, and he proved he knew how by flying across a field and then banking up into a tree, and I decided to end the lessons there after it took me about an hour and a half to get him out of the tree. And he would eat pretty much any food that we would eat. It used to be a problem with him at the kitchen table because he would climb up your leg and onto your plate, and we used to just keep swatting him away until I realized I just needed to set another place for the parrot.
So Charlie had a plate set at the table for him?
Yeah.
He would eat with the family? That's
Yeah.
awesome. What would he eat? What would he get served?
It's anything. It's vegetables, hot dogs occasionally.
You know, can we do that moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So who would be at the dinner table?
Me, my father, Charlie.
Okay.
All right, let's see it through the magic of time. What year would this be roughly, Michael?
83.
1983. We're going to go back to 1983.
And how old were you at the time, Michael?
17?
17.
17.
Okay.
And what part of the world?
New York City.
New York City. All
Okay.
right.
All right. Brian, would you be Dad?
And you want to go? You can go grab the bass.
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Take Dr. Michael Schindlinger.
Hey, I'm gonna crawl up on top of your plate and eat anything I want to.
I figured out that Charlie's from Trinidad, Dad.
I'm climbing up your leg, man.
Hey, just relax. We're about to have dinner, Charlie.
Wow, Michael, you've learned so much about this parrot. Maybe stop playing bass and go to some sort of school where you'll learn how to study animals.
In
maybe.
your face,
I
man.
can never put the bass down. I wear it even during dinner. I'm wearing it right now.
Play a little now, man.
I'm trying to play a little bit right now.
Would you play a little reggae? It seems like it would go with the accent.
Sure, watch when I play a little reggae. Charlie.
Oh, yeah, man, I wish I had a plate set for me, just for me at the table.
All right, okay. All right.
At the table. That way I don't have to climb up and eat off of your plate no more.
He's saying that he wants to have his own plate at the table.
Oh, amazing. How do you understand what he's saying?
Well, it's just that I speak fluent Charlie, Dad.
How is it that your father can't understand a word I'm saying?
He's been in New York a long time.
Well, maybe I can speak in his dialect.
All right.
Hey, man, can you understand me now? Huh?
That's incredible. I can. How are you doing that?
Well, I've been listening out the window, and I'm making fax sounds, too, like beep, boop.
Oh, look, he started the fax machine. That's
Yeah. What do you think of that, huh?
What does the fax say, Dad?
It's just fax my office.
Oh, I thought one was coming in.
Oh, yeah, you're right. One's
You
coming
should
in.
rip that one off and tell us what it says.
What does it say?
This is incredible. It says, yeah, give Charlie a spare rib and some corn.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess that's a little bit of Queens and a little bit of Trinidad. All right. You know what, Dad? I'd like to give Charlie his own seat.
Yeah, maybe it's time I got my own seat at the table, man.
This is your seat, Charlie.
You got to be kidding me. It's so giant and plush.
Yes, well, just like you. You're giant and plush.
Oh, you're just being sweet to me now.
Yeah.
Let me make a nest. I sure wish I could fly, but look what they do to my wing, man. Look at it. Look what they do. I wish sometimes I could go out across that field and bang really hard up into that tree. But maybe another day you teach me.
Oh, it's New York City. You may never come back.
That's probably true. Oh, yeah.
Will you tell him that the brisket's getting cold? And
No, let's serve the brisket, Dad.
This
Charlie's
is
been a good friend. He listens to me try and do all those Journey covers and Van Halen.
Oh, I love you when you play the Van Halen, circa 1983.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, I love what they play. What's that one tune? The jump?
Jump.
Yes. Go ahead, jump.
Yes, that and Running with the Devil, which scared you the last time I played
Oh,
it.
no, the devil.
No, it's just a song by Van Halen.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
Okay. Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate you letting me set a plate for Charlie.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for that. Beep up.
No problem.
Oh, you got another fax?
Yeah.
Who it be from now? Solve the mystery of who the fax come from now.
It's from the ice cream parlor.
Oh!
What's Charlie to have an ice cream sundae? Look at that.
That's
incredible.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep this fax.
This is the
Someday I'll explain to my kids this is how we used to communicate.
Yeah. Usually places deliver food instead of just suggestions for what you should go get. I'm really confused.
It's all right, Dad.
Oh, running with the devil.
Is he singing Van Halen now?
He is.
It's 1983, man. That's not a crime.
But the thing is, he's slowly eliminating Van Halen and Journey from his vocabulary.
Oh, is he just going to do New York groups then?
No, he's just going to do the language from where he came.
From Trinidad.
That's right.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun,
listen, he sounds like a steel drum.
dun, 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 dun,
A
dun.
steel drum?
A steel
The
drum.
steel
Oh.
drums from Trinidad.
Yes, yes. I thought he said a snail drum.
Oh, that's no make no sense.
No, that'd be a very small drum that only a snail could play.
Yes. Well, it's time for me to fly out the window into a tree. As best I can.
Look, Dad, I taught him to fly with, after that pet shop guy, well, he clipped his wing. But watch him now.
Oh, son, that's
I'm
amazing.
over the field. This is fantastic. Oh, I'm banking really hard.
He's been like that ever since I showed him Rocky.
Is he singing Get It Strong now? I can't hear.
Getting stronger.
There
Up in
it
a
is.
tree now.
And blackout. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Kieran, Dan O'Connor, and Brian Lohman for the Parrot team. Ladies and gentlemen, judges' scores. A 5, a 5, and a 4. 14. All right, everybody, drum roll, please. Give us the scores there, Kelly Whitaker. Oh, the Sea Otters take the day. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring the cast and our scientists back up on stage. Come on up on stage, guys.
Broke the parasite's domination.
Thank you to our judges, John Palmentary, Alan Rose, Starshine Rochelle. Their assistants, come on up on stage, Asher and Anna. Dr. Michael Schindlinger, Dan O'Connor, Stephen Kieran, Ryan Lohman, Michael Mcshane, Kelly Holden, schistosomiasis, Joe McGinley, Greg Sanders, Ana Elise Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, take a bow. The incomparable Conrad Kono on keyboards. Kelly Whitaker, the human android. We'll be back again June 15th for another show. Thanks for being part of IMPROVology.